Who's Spencer?
I am a YouTuber and real estate investor, but also a great friend, really funny guy.
So what people know you as, you're this YouTuber, and I mean, dude, a little bit of controversy.
Yeah.
Right? You're a bit of a controversial person, but the thing that people, I don't know if they really tap into and know about you is before YouTube, you're like a really successful, like, real estate investor, like you're a real estate agent. What was the first video you made?
And that series was called Authentic or Charlatan.
Oh, okay.
That was where the series really started. I released it December 2nd, 2019. I think was the first day. It was the first episode was on
you were
Unlock.
making content before that.
I was, yeah. I'd been making content for a few years, just trying to figure out what worked or what. I started January 2015. And so it had been almost 5 years of putting out content.
Welcome to the DV podcast, where we bring on inspiring guests from all walks of life. On today's episode, we have my good friend Spencer Cornelia, who's a YouTuber that's grown to over 500,000 followers on YouTube. And he makes really interesting content calling out scams, online gurus, and stuff like this. So let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say in today's episode, and let's dive in.
Who's Spencer?
I am a YouTuber and real estate investor, but also a great friend, really funny guy.
That's not what the ladies say. Oh, you are, dude. You are. Yeah, what's your journey, man? So, you're from, you're from Georgia. You moved out here. How the heck do you go from being in basically the Bible Belt? I don't know if Georgia technically is.
It is, absolutely is.
And then end up in Sin City.
It was a long path. I used to work in sports, so I had a few years of trying to find my way between internships and sales jobs, which are pretty challenging in the sports world. They were 1 year in nature, so they're like short term. And I didn't really enjoy that career path, so I decided to change careers 2015. And I went from Silicon Valley down to Las Vegas to join the tech world, ironically enough.
Dude, what's funny is, like, I've known you for a little while now, maybe a couple years, and I've got to know you better probably the last 6 months or so, which has been cool. But I learned more in doing research on you than I've known. Like, you're just, like, kind of like the low-key, humble guy. But, dude, like, you don't really talk about your life. And, like, dude, you literally worked for sports companies. Mm-hmm. You like, it looked like, based on, like, you know, your LinkedIn and online, it's like, that looked like the career path you wanted to go into.
For sure. Sports management in college, and that's the degree I graduated with. So I went down and did an internship at Florida State University in order to complete that degree. So I was on the field during game day. If you're a college football fan, that's like a big deal. So there were 2 game days that year when Clemson came to town and Florida came to town. So that was a really cool internship. And then I did a couple other internships. Yeah, it was really interesting that way.
This pivot where it's like software development.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get out of sports. It's a really challenging career to break into. The salaries are really on the low end. Because if you think about it, there's only so many sports teams in any city. So if one job isn't working out or you want to advance in your career, you probably have to move cities. It's really challenging to break through. And so I didn't see a pathway for me to continue in that industry. And I love tech. I love programming and software engineering. And of course I was in, at that time, Oakland, and I was around San Francisco. And at this time, this was 2014, this was when the idea of like software engineering started to get really popular, and the idea that you didn't have to go to Harvard and get a CS degree in order to program. You could just do these like 12-week boot camps, and you could join some really cool startup. At that time, the startup culture was so cool to be around. So I wanted to be a part of it.
What were you actually doing?
I was in sales for Oakland A's.
No, when you went up to Silicon Valley.
Yeah. I was working for the A's for about 7 months, and then I saw the writing on the wall that I just was not going to last. That job was really challenging. Sales for the A's is an incredibly challenging career.
So you went up there to work for them.
Yeah, up there to work.
And then you pivoted. You just found like another.
Yeah, exactly. So I had thought about doing it before, because before I joined the A's, I had worked for the Rockets, and Damian Lillard in 2013 hit a game-winning shot over Chandler Parsons to win Game 6 up in Portland to end my job. It's like watching a sporting event, and if your team loses, the team you work for loses, then your job's over. That was my Friday night, that one night. Wow. So then Monday comes around, yep, you're let go. And so I was in Houston, Texas, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my career. So I thought of going into the programming route, or maybe stick it out in sports and try the sales thing once again. So I took on a really tough job to see if I was made out to do sales in sports. Turns out that I wasn't. And after like 5 months, I realized I got to get out of here. I got to change career paths. And thankfully, there were these 12-week boot camp models that were open. These were becoming more popular in San Francisco. So I was able to join one. I left my career with the A's and then joined the 12-week boot camp April 2015.
So what people know you as, you're this YouTuber, and I mean, dude, a little bit of controversy.
Yeah.
Right? You're a bit of a controversial person, but the thing that people, I don't know if they really tap into and know about you is before YouTube, you're like a really successful, like, real estate investor, like you're a real estate agent. So, how did you go from having a profitable, like, real estate portfolio to going to an unprofitable career of making content online?
Well, to be fair, I was not profitable in real estate before YouTube started to pick up. I had some success. I bought a condo out here in Vegas, which appreciated a lot from 2016 to 2019. And so I made some money with that, thankfully. And then a fourplex, I made some money on the fourplex as well. So I guess in some sense I had made probably $100,000 between the two. So I was at least somewhat successful. However, all the problems started in my real estate career once YouTube started to pick up. Funny enough. Maybe I was distracted. No, thankfully I was very, very thankful that YouTube ended up picking up and it was able to offset a lot of the losses that I experienced in real estate. And
then how did you pick like this niche? I know you're moving a little bit away from it right now, but you were like kind of the CoffeeZilla, like in like a certain area.
Yeah, for sure. He was definitely the biggest influence to me, of course. At that time, I'd still wanted to make that content, this content of like, what do they not want you to see? Because this was very prevalent in real estate. A lot of gurus started popping up, a lot of TV shows started popping up, and I was doing it and I was like, they're missing a lot of details here. And so my mind around YouTube was, how can I make videos of like stuff that is true, but a lot of content is around the falsity of it. And so then when I had one Friday night when I saw CoffeeZilla's videos about fake gurus, it was like the perfect moment. And so I had my mindset on those types of videos. And then when I saw his, it gave me the inspiration to try the internet marketing space. So yeah, he was a huge inspiration to me. How did I start it? Was just seeing CoffeeZilla doing it. And I felt like I had a unique perspective. I felt like I was someone that could be super objective and look at kind of these quote unquote success gurus. I felt like I could actually do a deep dive. And my whole intention from the start was just to, see if they're legit. Are these guys legit? Are they as good at whatever skill they claim to have as whatever it is they claim to have? And that was where the journey started.
What was the first video you made?
And that series was called Authentic or Charlatan.
Oh, okay.
That was where the series really started. I released it December 2nd, 2019. I think was the first day. It was the first episode was on
you were
Unlock.
making content before that.
I was, yeah. I'd been making content for a few years, just trying to figure out what worked or what. I had started January 2015. And so it had been almost 5 years of putting out content. I started in January 2015. This was when YouTube was a way different space. It was like way more. This was almost before Logan Paul. Think of how crazy that is.
Wow.
And so at the time, fitness was starting to take off, and I wanted to be a fitness influencer. And so I started making videos in the gym, and I just was not as good as the people that were making content in the fitness space at the time. And so that didn't really work out. And then I started making content about my boot camp experience because no one was doing that. And so then that was the first time I started getting like 300, 500 views for a video.
Boot camp?
Yeah, so I did what's called a coding boot camp. This was the 12-week program up in the Bay Area where I took this program to leave my sports job to then go into programming. It was like this middle ground where you don't need a CS degree, computer science, and you could take these 12-week boot camps where they'd help you. The sales pitch was that they'd help you become developer ready or software engineer ready in 12 weeks, and then you can transition into a new career in the tech space. So anyway, I started making those videos, and then I started into the real estate and kind of personal finance videos, and none of them really took off until summer of 2019. I had one video that I released, and I was really bummed about its performance. I thought it would be the best video I ever put out. I thought it was the one video that I could like, okay, if I can get views with this video, maybe I have a chance to be a YouTuber. And it bombed. Did not get any views, and I was so bummed, and I was thinking about quitting so much. But it was a video about buying my fourplex here in town that I bought on a seller finance deal. It's called Owner Will Carry. And that video bombed. And I was so bummed. I was like, okay, I don't have what it takes to make it on YouTube. I got no chance. And then fast forward like 2 months, somehow, for some reason, it started to pick up. And it got maybe 2,000 views after a couple months. Then all of a sudden it hit 70,000 views in a month. And for me, that was insane, like the first taste of success. And so at that moment, I realized, okay, I don't have what it takes not to be successful. I can be successful. It's just I need to refine the right formula. And that was the video that kind of kept me going. And thankfully, I don't remember the exact timeline, but it was probably a month later when I found the CoffeeZilla video. And that kickstarted it.
Were you making other kind of videos on real estate while at the same time doing the Authentic or Charlatan series?
Kind of, yeah. I started with Authentic or Charlatan, and that was a series that was very much influenced by Dave Portnoy. He does the pizza reviews, like the daily pizza reviews, and I kind of wanted to mix that in with, like, is this guy an authentic guru or is he a charlatan, and give him a score. That's where it all started. The first like episode or two, I give people a score. So you'll see that was very much influenced by Dave Portnoy. But at the time, I was still trying to figure out what worked, because I didn't want to only make videos on this specific content. I also talked about like why athletes, what they should invest in. Like I did a video on Joe Burrow after he got drafted, and Zion Williamson, who's a very popular basketball player. I made videos on why they should invest their money in a certain way so they don't go broke. So I was trying all these different styles of video. Even at the time, I didn't know that that was going to be the thing.
What was it was there a particular video that popped off, or a particular guru that was like the first one that broke you into that space?
Episode 1. Yeah, the Dan Lok one. Because at this time, he was way more popular than he is today. And CoffeeZilla had only made one video on him at the time. And I was like, oh, this guy's interesting. I've seen his ads. Something doesn't rub me the right way. Like, he just doesn't seem like a legitimate business owner. And so that was the first episode where I just found a bunch of inconsistencies listening to a lot of his podcasts. I could listen to 4 podcasts and his story doesn't really match up. Some of the numbers don't match up. I'm like, this is odd. And it wasn't even like an exposed video or an attack video. It was just, here's what I found. I'm sharing it with you in a 15-minute video. That video performed way better than all my other videos performed. And so it's clear that I had something, but I didn't fully jump into the like expose or fake guru niche. I felt like till months later.
And you made more videos of Dan, right?
I made a couple more, yeah.
What
over
an
time.
Interesting guy. Wasn't he? His thing was like he wanted people to call him like Shifu or something.
Yeah, Sifu.
Sifu.
Apparently, I believe it's in Chinese. That means master, I think is what it is.
I thought they were calling him the Sifu Bader.
I'm sure he's got a lot of nicknames if you ask enough people.
Yeah. So, yeah, dude. And then you made more videos on him. Do you like the guy?
I don't know anything about him, so I try to withhold judgment of people I make videos on. I try to be very objective. You know, I don't know any of these people personally. That's why I try to only go after something they've done publicly, whether that's a certain business practice, a certain way of selling. That period of my life, all my videos were targeted at the way people marketed or sold, because I thought there was a lot of scaminess in the internet marketing space, as I'm sure you can talk about.
If Dan was sitting across from you, like right now, like what would you say to him?
I'd be really curious if he had seen my videos and if there was anything that was wrong. That'd be my first question. Assuming he wouldn't know off the top of his head what was wrong, I'd probably ask some of the questions about his backstory. Like, what was your experience in copywriting or selling or running a legitimate business before becoming a business master and making all the money selling how to start a business and whatnot?
Dan, come in now.
Yeah, that would be an epic podcast.
We just have like
I might be a little underdressed, you know.
Just like
we're not in a Bentley. We're not in a Bentley. Remember that? He's got the backseat of a Bentley. Yeah. Maybe if we were in a Bentley, we could talk to him.
So he lives in Vancouver, which is where I'm from originally. And I'm glad that we took separate paths in life, and I didn't go down the path.
He's crushed it though. Like the thing with the fake gurus is if your goal is to make money, if that's the only thing that matters to you in life is making money, they all won. He won. He got past. He faked it till he made it, and then when he made it, he's actually like positioned himself now as some business expert. I think he runs a business startup fund or accelerator or something.
I see that. I don't know though. Like he if you're making your money from selling courses and then like his credibility went out the window, like he can't keep selling courses, so he does have to have real businesses. I don't see him actually doing anything. Like I haven't really kept too close of eyes on him, but.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So, besides Dan, is there any other fake gurus that were like big in kind of your journey into growing your channel to be so popular?
Yeah, well, the first few episodes, of course, are super important. Tai Lopez, Robert Kiyosaki, Dan Lok were super big. I think the sports bettors are where I started to like carve out my niche within that overall genre of fake gurus. Because those are the people that I felt like I had a unique skill set to kind of make videos on, and very few people were making videos on them. One thing I tried to avoid is just targeting like the easy targets like Grant Cardone, Dan Bilzerian. I never made videos about those guys and quote unquote expose them because I just didn't think there was any value there. And so I never really had like that pop moment where it's like I went after one guy and exposed them and it became like a massive, massive ordeal. I don't remember ever doing that. I mean, the way I see it, I never really enjoyed this concept of exposed. Like, I don't want to be TMZ. I've always felt like there's an element of grossness to it, even though we still click. Like, sometimes TMZ is like, gotta know, gotta click. But I just don't like being that guy. And so I've done it when appropriate, where I felt like it was appropriate if someone was selling something like very clearly people were being damaged and people didn't know. I felt like it was kind of a moral obligation to do that. However, I always kind of wanted to be like a storyteller, and I could look at someone who's maybe public and saying all these things, but if I know something like, hey, this guy actually isn't as legitimate as he thinks, or here's something you may not know, but his real estate fund doesn't make any money. Like these things, I would rather tell those stories where it's not as much expose. It's more of just an uncovering.
Interesting. Yeah, it seems like you get lumped into this kind of group of people that are, and there isn't really, it's really was Coffee, you, and now there's a few spin-off people who are kind of filling the shoes of you now that you're kind of stepped away from that. But I don't think you're that guy.
You're not that guy, pal.
I don't think you're the guy that's
so I think there's different ways to do this. So CoffeeZilla is an internet detective. He stuck to that ethos from the start, and I think he's nailed it. He plays that persona really, really well. He's doubled down, and that's why his path has been so successful. So if you want to be that guy, that path can work. But you got to be all in on research. Your entire life has to be not making friends or allies in this business. Like you're just this like rogue journalist that when a story comes out, you can't have any ties to anything. You're an internet detective, so all you look for is the truth, and you're willing to spend 2 weeks digging into a story to find the most granular level detail. If that's your life, I think you can win that path. My path was somewhere in the middle, where it's like I can write stories, I can be a storyteller, I can have this idea of uncovering, but at the same time I don't have to spend weeks diving into people's lives. And then you have the new path, which is just with the worst intentions. I'm going to take someone that I know has a good reputation, and I'm just going to attack them with no journalistic integrity.
And you're seeing that happen right now.
Yeah, I think this was a worry of mine. This was a concern of mine. I was talking about it months ago with a few of our mutual friends. And I was saying, I think the next wave of exposed channels is going to be targeting the good guys, because all of the easy targets have already been gone after. Like if you made a video about Tai Lopez today, it doesn't get any views because no one cares. Even though he's still relevant, he's still reasonably relevant, he's still got a name. So you can't really punch the low-hanging fruit, which is kind of what we did, to be fair, because they hadn't had videos made about them. So, but after 2 years of making videos about a lot of people that are already publicly known as kind of having a lower than average reputation, for lack of a better word. You can't make videos on those people because it won't get views. So who do you target? You either have to go the journalistic route like CoffeeZilla, which is make crazy amounts of effort into, research and production, which I understand when you're first starting out, you don't have those resources. So the easiest target is just the easiest path is just targeting someone who has a good reputation. You just make them look bad. That's basically the TMZ route. Like, oh, gotcha. Like, turn on the camera, gotcha.
Yeah, that's caught you. So you're in a lawsuit, and
yeah.
And do you think that, rather, how did that affect your pivoting and kind of changing structure?
I think it was incredibly important for a couple of reasons. One is that it messed with me mentally. Like my mental health has been really, really bad for a long time because of it, and so that certainly played a role. As you make videos on these like fake gurus, you're always at risk of getting sued. So when one happens and you see how damaging it is, it's certainly going to change your path or change your interests for sure. Another one is just the fact that I haven't been able to invest in my content like I had hoped. And so I've actually stayed in this niche probably longer than I could have imagined. So you want to know a funny story? I have a guy working on my logo and brand for my second channel that I'll be spinning up. And I was looking at our messages on LinkedIn. And in October of 2020, I was messaging him about the idea of starting a house hacking course because I was like, I don't want to be in this like exposed space forever. I don't really want to do fake gurus that much longer. This was October of 2020. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy what I did. Like 2021, 2022, everything's good. However, I probably would have pivoted way sooner to just different style content had I had the resources. But I'm out almost $250,000, which for me is a significant amount of money to this point for the lawsuit. And so if you picture that money being in my pocket, like I imagine I would have pivoted sooner into like different style, or I would have doubled down on YouTube and invested in the content. So yeah, it's been incredibly damaging in more ways than one.
What was the story of that lawsuit? How did it even come up?
I released the videos in question December 20th, and then another one December of 2020, 2 videos in December 2020, and then one in February 2021. So this is a significant long time ago. This is like, as a creator, this is like a previous version of me. Mm-hmm. So it feels so weird with videos that are still harming me to this day. But yeah, there was just videos that I posted about a guy where I interviewed someone who knew the guy and was a credible source. He knew a lot about this individual. And so I interviewed him, and then he said all the things about the guy who eventually sued me.
That was the first video?
Yeah, the first video.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, there were 2 videos where I interviewed him. And we chopped it up. Yeah, we chopped it up in 2. Yeah, part 1 and part 2. And then there was a third video where I did this funny, it was like clearly a joke, this Charlatan of the Year awards, right at the end of the year 2020. And I nominated this guy for an award. And it was clearly a joke, but he, of course, included that in the lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, and what's this guy claiming?
Defamation, mostly. So you also have a Lanham Act, which is a federal claim. A Lanham Act is basically unfair competition. So if you're a car dealer in town and I'm a car dealer, if I started running advertisements saying you are ugly adjective and all these things that are false about you, come shop at my car dealership, not Dylan's, because I don't do all these ugly things to people, right? If that's defamation or defamatory or false, that's unfair competition, because of course people are going to start shopping with me because you do all these ugly things to your clients. So that's the Lanham Act. So he's claiming the Lanham Act as well as defamation.
That you defamed him to go sell your course on the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, we think it's a weak claim, but we'll see what the judge thinks.
You're hopeful?
Very hopeful. I'm very optimistic.
Okay.
Yeah, our final filing is on March 20th, which is essentially a week from today. I cannot wait.
So apparently there's a type of insurance you can get for people that do this kind of work. Mm-hmm. Have you explored this?
I do not.
Do you know about what that is?
I do, yeah. I didn't have it at the time. I couldn't afford it. I was under the impression it was like $1,000 a month or so. I couldn't afford it at the time before the lawsuit. I also never anticipated a lawsuit actually getting filed because it just so rarely happens on YouTube. Most of the time, if you call someone out, if it's true, they usually just try to like cower away. If it's false, then they'll come out and talk to you. Hey, let me come on your podcast or let me come on your show. Let's talk about it. Or can you please take the video down? Here's a reason why it's defamatory. And so I always figured if there was anything in question that would never lead to a lawsuit. And so unfortunately this one did unexpectedly. And so I didn't have media insurance at the time. Media insurance isn't the catch-all that I think a lot of people think it is. It's beneficial in the sense that you can get, your legal fees covered in some sense, but there's reasons why you would avoid media insurance and reasons why you'd want to have it.
So having that wouldn't have necessarily protected you in this case? It
would have protected me financially. However, what happens with insurance is they hire their own attorneys. That doesn't necessarily mean they're hiring the best. And in the legal game, sometimes hiring someone who would not be an expert in that certain field could really harm you, meaning you could end up losing or you could end up settling with unfair terms because insurance wants to settle. They'll try to settle right away. And so you may have to come out with a video saying everything I said was false or something and ruin your reputation just because the insurance wanted to settle and that was one of the terms. I'm not saying that always happens or that was never presented in my case or anything, but that could happen. So if you have insurance, what happens if they look at your case? They're like, we think you were acting recklessly. We're not going to cover you. That's possible. Insurance is not in the business of protecting you. They're in the business of making money and not protecting you. Once you realize that, it like changes the game. Now, they will protect you by law if they have to, if you're following all the guidelines and they're providing a service. But if they believe, like, I don't know, I've heard things from reputable sources saying they won't always protect you.
Knowing that you've gone through this incredibly stressful journey, like, would you still get into YouTube if you went back?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think this is a game that leads to a lot of positives that no other career could offer. The experiences I've had, the relationships I've formed, the networking I've been able to get involved in has been nothing short of amazing. I'm incredibly thankful. And the income that you earn is not, well, at least for me, it was not an option for any other career path. And I still think there's upside. Like, the beauty of this game is it's a skill set, and I think you can learn it over time. You can get better at the game of social media, and I think I have a skill set that can lead to long-term success.
What's the plan on the second? You mentioned the second channel. What's that look like? I'm
going to do longer form videos outside, so not in my studio. So I have an idea on how to tie in real estate with more viral concepts, so that I'm looking really forward to testing them out. It's going to be a long process because I don't have the resources today to like really hire and like really go out and do the things I want to do. So I'm going to have to be very resourceful. which sometimes is actually a benefit because if you're resourceful from the start, once money comes in, you can then actually scale much quicker than just throwing money at a problem. If you throw money at a channel from the start, sometimes it's actually builds up bad habits because then you're relying on the income, or you're relying on the money to make good content. And so I want to do vlog style with real estate, but also elements that could lead to a lot of views.
Like house tours and stuff?
House tour is one. So one would be, I'll give you an idea of a video I was very influenced by. A guy who is vlogging out in LA is just exploring LA's richest neighborhoods. 1.6 million views. Clearly an interest in this. I think you can mix vlog with real estate and also something unique, some type of unique storytelling that I'm going to try. I haven't done any of these videos yet, but we're going to start filming probably in the next 2 weeks. I'm really excited. When's
the first video going to go out? Right after that?
Middle of April, maybe.
Are you going to promote it on your main channel at all?
Nope. I want a totally different audience. Yeah, because this one is going to be a clear funnel. The purpose is going to be to monetize. Like, I want to have a creative expression. I want to be able to make videos out in public. I want to be a lot more personality driven, but also a very clear funnel. For instance, one, you call it like bucket idea. One of the buckets is going to be Airbnbs. So I'd love to go tour like really creative or weird Airbnbs. Cool. Well, I have a friend that sells a really good Airbnb course. And so on my main channel, I don't really promote any of this, but on that video, I could easily say, hey, if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, if you want to maybe one day own an Airbnb like this, here's a course in the description. And so that'll all be affiliate deals. So I think the income potential there is much higher. The ceiling is much higher. I think the floor is much lower, but the ceiling's much higher. I think anything tied into real estate is one of the best monetizable niches on YouTube. And it's a passion of mine. Like, I'll love making those videos. So even if the views aren't there, it'll be a way to make YouTube content that I really enjoy, that I don't have to worry about views.
Yeah, interesting. And real estate is like, if I would go back and restart and be like, here's like the path I'll go into, real estate is super interesting. I believe that, the industry I'm in the marketing world is incredibly valuable. It's not going to be replaced because no matter how far technology goes, like, you still need human to human contact, creating vision, branding, stuff like that. But the close second would be real estate. Because I am in real estate, invested in real estate. But look at all the billionaires. What do? They're involved in real estate. So I think like you can create a vehicle to earn money, whether that's owning a marketing agency or whether that's working a job or whatever it is, and then you take that money and you then look to invest it into real estate. Yeah,
there's a lot of ways to make real estate interesting that I don't think many people are doing. Most of people in real estate on YouTube are very much analytical numbers. I bought this house for $480,000. Here's how much I put down. Here's the return. Blah 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 blah. But there's not that much content. Ennis Ilmeiser is actually doing this now. He's doing house tours, and he makes it really entertaining. That's reaching a larger audience. But he's still sticking to real estate, the idea of touring a property. But I think there's a middle ground that I'm going to try and touch on, which is mixing entertainment with real estate. And that's the end goal. And from the start, I'm not going to be good. But the goal is to every video get a little better, such that a year from today, you look at it and go, oh, wow, yeah, your videos are a mix of entertainment. Maybe I'll do a house tour in a really nice neighborhood. But the video isn't going to be about the house tour. The video is about maybe the neighborhood in general, or the area, or what it would actually be like to live in a house like this. Like, where do you go shopping? Where do you eat? A lot of people want to know, like, what's it like to actually live this lifestyle? So you can do a house tour, but you can also vlog about, maybe the overall lifestyle.
With the aspect of selling courses, how does that affect you though? If you've been hating on courses your whole YouTube career.
See, this is a great question. One of my favorites, because it is such a misconception. Because I get lumped in, going back to your earlier question, I get lumped in the CoffeeZilla path and some of these other guys who's like very anti-course. And I think a lot of the audience is anti-course. I've never been anti-course. The whole premise of my Authentic or Charlatan series was to try to expose the bad and highlight the good. And unfortunately, it led me down a clear rabbit hole of going into the exposing the bad was very, very much better on the views and vanity metrics, even though the dumb side of me, or the side of me that goes, man, I was dumb, was looking back, I could have monetized a lot better had I stuck to that ethos. Like, yeah, you're going to get fewer views if you do a positive video on some real estate guru, but if you sell a course or sell his course, then you can make way more money. And from the start, you make it very clear, like, I'm here to expose the bad and shine light on the good. I didn't do a good job at that. That's my only regret from that pathway. But I've never been anti-course. It's unfortunate that I end up targeting a lot of bad actors who happen to have a course, but I didn't make it that part clear, I think, from the start.
Was there anyone who was authentic?
Yeah, I actually made a video on Graham.
Oh.
Yeah, funny enough. Yeah, he was a real positive video. And then actually most of those videos were not like critical. They were mostly just documentary style. Here's what this guy's not telling you. And I kind of fill in the gap. So every marketer, for the most part, they're obviously incentivized to not speak about maybe a bankruptcy that they had, or maybe they present themselves as amazing at sales, but they don't really have the experience. So I'm not out here exposing the guy saying he's a scumbag. My whole purpose was just, hey, he's not telling you this. If I were to buy his products, I would be a little hesitant because he didn't talk about his past, or he didn't mention this, or I don't like the way he sells this product because, you know, when they do this, this is kind of manipulative. That's where a lot of those videos were. And so, yeah, like Graham was one of them, but there wasn't really a clear delineation between this guy's a scammer versus this guy's good.
On the internet, the thing that feeds everything is negativity. And so everyone's going to jump on it. Even if CoffeeZilla made a video, like, imagine if he made a video like Logan Paul's new charity. Like, that's not going to get views.
Probably not.
Right? Unless it was like the fall of Logan Paul's charity.
Right.
Right. And so it's kind of hard because that's the way, like, as a creator, you start to kind of go down the path of like, what are the eyeballs on? Not like where's the truth at, or what's like the greatest good.
YouTube does not reward good journalism, because what is good journalism? You need to spend time talking to all the sources, or talking to all the actors or the characters in this story. You probably need to make it somewhat interesting, right? Because YouTube, you can't just sit in front of a camera and like, here's what I found in my story. No one's going to listen to it for 10 minutes. This guy is innocent. This guy's innocent. Like, no, that's not interesting. So you got to be able to tell a compelling story. You got to add in graphics and all this stuff. And you've got to put out a lot of content. If you're only releasing 2 videos a month, they better be bangers, because you need to be getting 1 million, 2 million, 3 million views a month just to be able to afford the help, the assistant, the editor, or the film guy if you're going to go out and actually do, you know, journalism out in public. So if you think about all the costs that go into actually being a journalist, you need to get crazy views, or you figure out other ways to monetize through sponsors or selling something. And then that's when it becomes challenging, because if you're in this like exposed space, it's actually very hard to sell stuff, because I never really felt right. Hey, here's a bad guy. Oh, by the way, here's a good guy's course. You know, that's like kind of a gimmicky way of selling, which it works. I'm not completely opposed to it, but I never wanted to do it. So that's the real challenge.
And it's the same thing with like the news. Like the amount of times the news puts out a story that's false because you got to go to it quick.
Right.
And then they have to retract it. Like that's just the way the media landscape.
That's the way you're incentivized. But what CoffeeZilla has done really well now, and I'm proud of him, is now that he's got a Patreon and he gets so many views, he's able to very comfortably afford his setup, his production. He could put out 1 video a month and be fine. And so, yeah, after years of working hard, if you can get to that level, then it works in your favor. But when you're first starting out, you need a lot of views. And so what do you incentivize? If you need a lot of views to keep your production rolling, well, you're going to tend to go down the path of most views. And the problem is most YouTubers, myself included, we didn't have some easy funnel into a product or service. If we ran a business first and then YouTube just becomes the marketing front for that business, it becomes way different. Because when hanging out with Ryan Pineda, he taught me that he wants to make videos for his customers or ideal customers. If it gets 2,000 views, that's fine. Because if all 2,000 of those people are ideal customers, that's way better than 100,000 views and you got $400 from AdSense, like I do. $400? Like, come on, bro, 100,000 views? If you got 100,000 views and just said, hey, I've got this awesome agency, if you guys are interested at all, and assuming they would be because the video is about agency or about running a business or something, right? You're telling me out of 100,000 views, you could probably get 2,000 buying customers. I mean, what is a customer worth to you? Probably a lot more than freaking
$500.
Yeah, collectively even. Like even if you had 200 people out of 100,000, that's a pretty low conversion rate. But if you're getting $1,000 product or service being offered to these people, 200 people at $1,000 service, that's $200,000 versus $400 in AdSense.
Which is why I think you see creators in their journey, their arc, right, move towards that. Or Meet Kevin actually said something really interesting. He was doing a vlog in New York, and he was talking about how, he's getting attacked for a lot of stuff from this way and this way. But he made a point about cancel culture and talking about how creators get canceled. But he said they don't get canceled. They cancel themselves.
Right.
They lose the energy, the life force that makes them exciting to watch. And Meet Kevin, no matter what he's gone through, he hasn't lost that.
Right.
He's still this character that's hilarious to watch. And
he still offers value, right? At the end of the day, that's what matters, because whoever's still following him, however many people that watch him every day, right, those people get something out of his videos. I agree with that statement, though.
But we see creators fall off all the time.
Oh, yeah. The problem is I think you need to pivot after some type of quote-unquote scandal. And I use scandal in quotes because it's not a real scandal. Like, there's so many small scandals that become big deals because, something happens and then people are obviously incentivized to make videos about that. So then it becomes this whole ecosystem of like 10 people making videos, making you out to be the bad guy. They're all incentivized for you to be the bad guy. None of them are reaching out to you for comment. And so then all of a sudden you look like the bad guy. I think historically speaking, that generally is a sign that you should pivot, something new. Because in content, you're an entertainer. And so you need to pivot over time anyway. Because your stuff will naturally get stale.
Kevin hasn't, though, or has
he? Has numerous times. Oh, yeah. Think about it. He was first a real estate investor, only real estate, clearly with a funnel into his brokerage. Then he pivots into, well, his hard pivots were then when Rona hit. He then became Rona updates. Remember that? He was doing like whatever that program was, the updates,
the
PPP or whatever, every single day. So then he does that, and then he hard pivots into stock and economy, and now he's hard pivoting. So pivot could also mean frequency of uploads. You could go from one video a week I think he used to do maybe 2 videos a week that were a little higher production, more effort for the real estate stuff. Sometimes pivot just means maybe going massively on the upload schedule. You jump to 1 a day instead of 2 a week. But you're always needing to pivot. Always, every 6 months probably.
Interesting. For someone that's wanting to become a YouTuber, it's like the sexy thing to do now. It's like I feel like
best career
every
in the
kid,
world.
they want to be a YouTuber. How could someone become one?
I think there's numerous ways. Obviously, the easiest path, I think, is if you already have a business, then you can just treat YouTube like the funnel to your business. And if your business makes you money, then YouTube can just be like a fun side project, or it could be marketing for your business. Because realistically, like now, the barrier is getting super high to start. If you're going to start on YouTube, like you need to at least have money for a pretty decent camera. I know people say iPhone. I'm not buying it. You need pretty good audio, pretty good setup. Like if you're starting a podcast in 2023, but you need to have something unique. At the end of the day, you have to have something unique. No matter if you start with a crappy camera, a legitimate camera, if you have a unique skill set, a unique way of telling a story, or you found a niche within a niche and no one's talked about that subject yet, you can make it. So that's what I'm going through right now is, as I start the second channel, like I could go do house tours, for instance. I could hire someone, go do a house tour. That's already been done. You're going to get some views, but you're not going to explode. How can you find a niche that hasn't been tapped into yet? That's the real question. And if you're going to start, that's the quickest way to success. Or you could go the path that I did, which is 5 years of just kind of stumbling around and trying to find what works.
The problem, like the thing I think about is like in business, it's not about reinventing the wheel, because every time you do that, you're risking everything. I believe that the best way to ensure success, find something that's already working and then just like enhance it and make it your own.
There you go.
But with that, it's like if you're trying to carve out a new niche, wouldn't you then possibly end up in something that you put all this time and energy and it's a niche with no eyeballs?
Absolutely. I think there's a big difference between content and business. Business, there's always going to be customers, especially like if you're selling a product or service. I think there will always be customers. Maybe start local, maybe go national. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. But it does feel like there's going to be a chance to make you – like there's the same barber exists in every single city. But there's like plenty of barbers that – they're doing the same exact thing, but they can still make a name for themselves locally. Whereas content on YouTube, I think it is so competitive that I think you have to stand out. No, when I say stand out, you can get views. You can get on YouTube and get 100 views a video if you want to. Maybe that's your form of success. But if you want to get to the 100,000 subscriber mark, 500,000, for me on my path to 500 and a million, I think you have to find a certain niche, a certain genre, a certain topic, certain piece of content that people aren't currently making that they want to watch. That is a real challenge, and that's why this game is so tough but so rewarding.
What do you think about AI?
I don't really have much opinion on it.
Are you scared that it could take over?
No, not at all. I think what AI will do is it's gonna wipe out a lot of the low level content, and that being like, here's the 3 ways to buy a house. You can Google that realistically, right? I think that type of content is going to be wiped out by AI because there's going to be so many people that can do faceless where they can, hey, AI, write me a script for the 3 ways to buy a house. And then you could do faceless. You just hire an editor. Pretty easy to reproduce. But any type of content outside, I don't think you can replace it in any way because it's so unique.
Interesting.
And so I think the barrier to entry is just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher. Like right now, podcasts, barrier to entry is pretty high. You need camera setup, you need multiple cameras, you need a beautiful studio, you need lighting, you need expertise on how to set this all up to make it look pretty decent.
You need Cody.
Exactly. Yeah, so if you think about the barrier, just in the past 3 or 4 years, the barrier for podcasting is raised. Well, I think that's happening across all content. And so I think, my opinion, I think the studio setup, like the bedroom studio, kind of the prototypical like YouTuber in his house setup, where people know you're in your house studio making like simple videos, I think that is going to be replaced, not necessarily replaced, but there's going to be so much competition where I think let's say if your pursuit is 25,000 views a video, I think in order to attain that, I think it just gets harder and harder with each passing, like every 6 to 12 months, I think it gets a level harder.
What do you think that next model is?
For YouTube, for what works?
Yeah, like for me, for example, if I was to go make content that you perceive would be the next wave, what do I have to do to make that happen?
I think it has to be outside. I think that's the starting point. Like, it has to be so unique that it's so difficult to replace. And this is involving any type of method that involves certain elements that are hard to reproduce. So maybe just by going and interviewing people outside, like random strangers, that alone is hard, because how many people can actually get up the courage to go talk to people and make it relevant to some topic? That alone is difficult. How about a challenge where you actually try to, hey, I want to go make $1,000 today. Right? That type of content will always be incredibly hard, because the barrier for the average person to be able to go do that is going to be, it's so high. I don't think that'll ever get replaced by AI or anything. I think there will always be a place for that type of content.
Interesting. Yeah, because AI can't unless it's a whole, production that's created, but we're still a long ways out from that.
Yeah, I also think digital artwork. So what CoffeeZilla did early, it was change over to digital space. Like, it feels, you kind of know he's in his house, but there's a different feeling to it. Like, you feel like you're in a world. I think a lot of YouTubers are going to start creating this world, and they're going to look at their channels more macro level. I've talked to 2 different YouTubers about this that are big, and they've talked about the idea of creating a world. Like, when you watch my video, I want you to, enjoy the video, but then when you look back 6 months, you can see I'm creating like a world. This was a prominent YouTuber I had a chance to chat with the other day, and he talked about this, how in a couple of years, he wants to create an ecosystem where all the videos feel like they're all a part of a world, which is really interesting. That's like a different level of thinking. It's not about the next video needs to get 100,000 views. They're not like, that's what most YouTubers, myself included, that's what we're all thinking about. Like, how do you change the thumbnail? How do you change the title? He's thinking so far ahead that he wants to create a world that his audience feels like they're members of. And I think that's what CoffeeZilla is trying to do too. He's trying to create this world where you feel like you're down, and I think he's going to start putting out images like this, but like you feel like you're in kind of some dystopian futuristic city where you're sitting and watching some law detective put on a presentation in some like digital, utopia. It's very interesting.
Do you think CoffeeZilla should adopt Scott Schaefer? Even Scott, he's got like that studio backdrop now.
Yeah. It's worked for him for a little bit. I think that style or that strategy can only work for so long.
I think Coffee could have like a little bunch of mini coffees. Right?
Yeah, maybe. He turns into the OnlyFans model, the OnlyFans management or the record label management, where you have like, you sign people and you take 50% cut. You give them a marketing budget.
Yeah, I was thinking like along the lines of like what FaZe Clan did, right? They had a couple like the main guys, and then
FaZeZilla.
They get a house. He's got the coffee house.
Yeah, you get like Coffee Spencer, people. Coffee Eric.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Coffee Johnny. Yeah. That's funny.
Well, cool, man. So on the personal side of Spencer, like, dude, do you have like life systems and routines or things you'd like to do just on the personal side away from YouTube and business?
Everything is surrounding YouTube. Unfortunately, when you have a major black cloud, I don't really have any bandwidth for anything else, because I've unfortunately been spending more than I've made recently. Mm-hmm. And so I have to like increase my income, which I guess you could argue maybe in some ways is good. Long term, maybe it'll help me out get into the different income levels. But I haven't really had a chance to really focus on like my personal life at all. I have the last couple days, I have done no carbs, like truly zero carbs, like only meat. And it's been really interesting seeing how I feel like how much more focused I am and how much more I've been able to work, how much more efficient I've been. So that's been really interesting. I
feel like I hear that anytime someone switches diet.
Yeah.
I was eating all meat, and now I'm going to just everything. It's like no matter what it is, I think it's the attention on it's wherever you put the attention on. It's like,
for sure.
Maybe put my attention on the health or like some new diet.
I agree.
Maybe optimizing things better.
Yeah. I think this one, the sugar from carbs and everything is probably I think that affects people's minds. And so I am someone who eats quite a bit of carbs. And so I think that certainly helps. I just felt like my brain was getting cloudy. I wasn't as focused as I was.
So, dude, what's Spencer in 3 years look like?
My goal for that would be 2025. I've had a goal at the age of 35, which would be that year. I buy a house in McDonald Highlands. I house hack it, of course, because I got to
like, who's this guy? He's got like 8 people living in the house.
Well, but then it'd be super sick if I could have like a YouTuber or a clout house or some type of setup where I have maybe like a podcast studio in the house.
Zilla house.
Spencer Zilla. Coffee Spencer. No, that would be sick. So my plan was to have a house in McDonald Highlands. I already have a Tesla, so that was one. And then an exotic. I'd love to have an exotic. I really like to have
like a Brazilian girl. Or
I need to specify.
Girl.
Well, yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, that would be nice. An exotic in the driveway, a Lamborghini or
nice.
a Ferrari or something. Those would be super sick to have. But besides the material things, I'd love to have some type of setup where I am making YouTube videos in a niche or in a certain content style that I love. That's the path. Like to me, I'm the only people I'm jealous of are the people that can make like content that they love and make a killer career out of it.
I got 2 last questions for you. One, do you have a favorite quote of some kind?
Yes, I do. It's escaping me right now. Oh, no. Sorry, I was thinking of 2, and I was like, what's the other one? Seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's my favorite quote.
What's your other favorite one?
I think it was Henry Ford. I think people attribute it to Henry Ford, but I don't know for sure. But it is, those who think they are right, or those who think they are right, those who think they are wrong are the same. I can't remember. I'm butchering the quote.
Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
There you go.
So, dude, I saw that on your YouTube channel. I thought it was crazy. So that is my favorite quote.
Oh, right on.
I actually have it engraved in my suit jackets.
Oh, nice.
So I wanted to show you here.
That's so funny.
Whether you think you can, think you can't, you're all right.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I love that quote because I think it's a good ethos to have in life.
And really, it's like, the belief one has in themselves. Like I believe, humans were creators in essence. And so we can have whatever we want once we kind of map out the path to it. But if you are listening to this right now and are like, that's bullshit, that's some woo-woo shit, then you're not there yet. And so you do have to get to the point where you believe that you can create. Like, I didn't think I'd have 100 employees and have, a couple companies and stuff before I hit 30. But then I shifted to believe I could and then created it. So
I think the mindset from that is, it's not the mindset itself. Like if you just told someone, start telling yourself that, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
It's the fact that once you really believe it, your mind starts opening up. And I'll give you an example of why I think this is true. When I was back in December 2022, when I wasn't sure of when the lawsuit was coming to an end, like when this chapter, I didn't know if I'd financially make it to the end. I didn't know when it was over. It just kept going and going and going. Every month you get this crazy bill. My channel started to really take a hit in views and income, and I didn't have sponsors. And it was like a true nightmare scenario where all my income sources seemed to dry up. My mind was so conservative and constrictive. Like every dollar that came in, I had to conserve it because I have to pay down my legal bill. Well, fast forward to February when I was told very conclusively, here's the final date. I knew that financially I could make it to the end. It's not a coincidence that my mind immediately opened up. Instead of going every single video I've got to get a certain amount of views, I got to do this many sponsors to pay my bills. All of a sudden I started thinking, I could create a house hacking course, which I'm in the process of now. I can start a second channel. I've got a website built out. I have a new show being added on my main channel. All these things, because my mind started expanding, because this major hurdle, this major constrictive presence in my mind all of a sudden went away. Not completely vanished, but it mostly went away because I finally had the finish line. And so I think that's a good example of once you convince yourself, well, for me, I kind of had to convince myself, but once your mind opens up to think anything's possible or to have that bandwidth available, I think you will then be able to pursue the path of your next level.
Dude, I love it. So I got this thing here where this book is the book of questions, and the last guest left you a question.
All right.
Didn't know who you'd be. Didn't know. Yeah. I don't even know what the question is, but
oh, great.
I'll read it to you. You'll answer it.
I love random questions.
You'll leave one for the next person.
Yep, I can do it. This will be fun. Do you want me to read it?
Just in case you can't read it. So, from 1 to 10, how attractive is Dylan? No, I'm just joking. If someone bought your business tomorrow, what's the first thing that they would change?
They would have to change my name on the on the YouTube channel, I imagine. They'd have to change the content.
What about your
focus
real
on them.
estate? Your
real estate
side of things.
I do house hacking, and so if they had no interest in house hacking, which is rent by the room, then they'd probably kick everyone out and go to a single family model, which I'd be really upset with.
What would the thing be that looking in, someone basically would change from the aspect of like, this probably needs to be done to make it better?
Done to make better. That's a really good question. Okay, I understand the essence. I think having a management setup for the house hacking would be a lot better. So you can remove the operator or remove the owner. That would probably be the first thing. I think with the content, they would probably look to hire editors and a whole team around the content and try to build that up. It would certainly take an investment, but that's probably
the follow-up question they had was, why haven't you made that change? I'm guessing money.
Yeah, money. Good old lawsuits. My lawyer's taking all my money.
Well.
But to end this on a positive note, I think that is where I'm heading. Like, for sure, I'm investing in all my content. I'm investing money I don't have, essentially, to really kickstart all of this. So I'm taking some risk. I have one of my tenants right now. He works like as DoorDash driver, but he kind of moved here because he wants to get into real estate, and I figured he'd be good for filming because I need like someone cheap to film. And so I have a film guy for my second channel, which will allow me to go out into the real world and do videos outside of my house. So like I'm kind of investing in him. He's not an expert. He's not good with camera work necessarily, and it's money I would much rather have rent, but I'm getting camera work done for rent. And so I'm kind of investing in him. I'm investing in a show. I'm investing in starting up a course. So all the above. So yeah, I'm kind of already doing it. It's just not quite as professional as others.
Well, cool, man. This has been a good conversation. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If people want to follow you more or connect with you, what's the best way to do it?
Spencer Cornelia on YouTube and Spencer Cornelia 1 on Instagram. However, my account is deactivated at the moment.
Really?
I was getting bot attacked.
Oh.
Yeah, someone was coming after me.
Oh, I'll tell him to stop.
Yeah, please do. And then we find out who did it and sue him for extortion because they were extorting me.
Anything else?
I don't know. My life is just interesting, I guess. We could go on and on. No, nothing else. Thanks, dude.
Good. Thanks for coming. Cool.